Hello, welcome to another episode of Inside the Huddle. This is episode 77 of the Inside the Huddle podcast. Thank you, as always, for joining us. For those tuning in on YouTube, make sure to please like and subscribe. At the time of this recording, it is Friday, September 12th. Many of you might be listening to this on Saturday, Sunday, whenever you are listening to this, heading into week number 2. Appreciate you all. As always, we made it. Week number 2 is here. Thursday night football last night, Packers get to 2-0 on the season as their preseason, now early season hype here continues. Commanders drop that one, so they pick up their first loss of the season. And now we head into week number 2. Full slate of games on Sunday, 2 Monday night games this week, so looking forward to it. DiMari, lots to discuss, lots of storylines. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Again, we are heading into week 2, so another good few games that we have coming up this Sunday. But yeah, last night, week 1 actually, and just last night said a lot about where we kind of thought some teams might end up. You know, some teams we thought might look good, some who might look bad. Obviously, we've seen 2 of those teams last night play, and week 1 said a lot. And I know football is still early in the season, but a lot of teams that make you question kind of what they're doing with the future. Others look great, but like I said, we started with last night with a really good one at Green Bay and Washington. So let's get it kicked off with that one.
Yeah, it was good to break down all the reactions post week 1. Some of them, turn out to be true. Some of them over time here, not so true. So always very interesting takeaways coming out of, the week 1 and really even just the first couple of weeks of the season. But yeah, the Green Bay Packers, in terms of one of the early season storylines, one of the most hyped teams, I guess, going into the season after the Micah Parsons trade, they certainly haven't disappointed. They go out and beat Detroit at home on Sunday, followed it up 4 days later with a really commanding victory over the Commanders 27-18. Micah Parsons looked good. Jordan Love looks very good. They did suffer a big injury with Jaden Reed going down with the broken collarbone. He'll miss a significant amount of time. Matt LaFleur said that he believes he'll be back this season, but it's going to be a good chunk of time. So that's certainly a big blow. Eckler also with the Achilles injury. So 2 major injuries in this one, but Packers come out on top. Just what have you seen from them here first 2 weeks, living up to the hype where a lot of people, Super Bowl favorites once the Parsons, Super Bowl picks, I should say, a lot of people once the Parsons trade went down.
The defense is scary. And obviously you knew it would be scary when Parsons came over in the trade, but this is, 2 back-to-back weeks of holding 2 of the best offenses in football to under 250 yards. Detroit only had 246 in week 1. Washington had 230 last night. And they're holding teams, under 72 yards per game rushing, which I think is a really big deal when you want to find balance. We know the front 7 is going to be good. We know the secondary is going to be good. And when you can bring it all together and also limit teams like Detroit, like Washington, that are great when it comes to running the ball, that's a big deal. Also considering when you play Philly, you meet up later on in the playoffs. San Fran, very good rushing teams. You want to have a good run defense, and they have showed that at start. So I think defensively, they have looked great. They're going to continue to look great. That Parsons trade definitely put that defense over top. But offensively, this is going to be a hot take. I don't like what I'm seeing from this Green Bay offense so far. And 27 points, I guess you say that's a lot of points in the NFL, but maybe it's just me. Tucker Craft had a great game last night. Jacobs had a decent game last night. I just feel like we can see more from Jordan Love. I'm not really seeing what I thought we would see. I'm expecting that next jump, and we talked about it this offseason, where Jordan Love take that next step and kind of move towards that more elite type of quarterback. And we are, yet to see it, and I'm not faulting them because at the end of the day, you are 2-0, so you are getting wins, but I'm just thinking that offense can do a lot more than what they've done in these first 2 weeks. Season's still early, but I'm expecting more from Jordan Love.
Yeah, I think this is an offense that you look at and you say can easily surpass 30 points when they're playing at their top of their game. And, they've been under 30 each of the last 2 weeks. 30 points is kind of that increment where the elite offenses are kind of in that category every single week. They've been just under that. So that feels like now the next step. And yeah, Tucker Craft was huge last night. Him and Love had a big connection going, 6 catches, 124 yards, a monster game for him. he now plays such a more important role. Everybody really on the offense now has to step up from a receiving perspective with the injury to Jaden Reed, who will miss a big chunk of time. And I guess that's my one concern with Green Bay, right? The defense has been great. I guess I could kind of, if somebody could play devil's advocate from the perspective of the defense has looked great, and I'm not doubting that, but I am interested to see how Detroit looks this week, how Detroit looks moving forward, because last week was really bad, and I'm sure a lot of that was Detroit's defense, but also just when looking at Detroit, how much of it is the new coordinator, no more Ben Johnson. Is that something that does end up impacting Detroit more so down the road? And then from the Commanders' perspective, I mean, they beat up on a really bad Giants team. Like, what kind of Commanders team just move forward, especially with that run game? No more Eckler. You have, I think it's right pronounced, Krosky Moret, I believe. The rookie who had a very good week one, but the seventh round pick now plays a big role here. Kind of felt like he was going to play a big role anyway, even with Eckler healthy, but you still have some questions about that run game. No more, of course, Brian Robinson Jr. There for Washington, but not taking anything away from Green Bay. But Washington and Detroit, I am intrigued on, just looking to see what they can do moving forward, because Detroit, the loss moving in here to week 2, and Washington moving forward against, Daniels in week 2 and all those different things, the run game now. The Jaden Reed injury news is big because the receiving corps for the Packers has always kind of been interesting. It's a lot of younger pieces. There's no really any elite piece. You have Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, Tucker Kraft, Dontavian Wicks, who had a couple plays last night, had I think 4 catches, which was, I believe, second on the team behind Kraft. Who do you feel now has to emerge? You look at Matthew Golden, the rookie first-round pick, as a guy that you feel has to step up and play a bigger role here as well early on in the season for this Green Bay offense.
Yeah, I think it's Golden, one of them. And last night he didn't have a good outing. Him and Jordan Love just could not seem to connect. And, obviously it would get that going eventually, but definitely he's going to have to be a big part of stepping up. And I won't necessarily say this other guy has to step up, but I believe they have to use Savion Williams, the rookie out of TCU, a lot more, that you can use a lot of different ways. Because, like you just said it perfectly, it's no elite number one. There's no for sure, shoe in number one. It's kind of receiver by committee. It's whoever has the hot hand. And now you mentioned Reed is down. Didn't even remember until last night. My dad brought it to my attention. Christian Watson hasn't even been playing, which didn't even think about that. So you're already down, 2 receivers, and you need these other guys to step up. And it doesn't help when you do have a young group, because you don't have that veteran presence in the locker room. But definitely, I think, with how well Kraft is playing, he will kind of open up some things for the other guys. So we will start to see Dobbs and Golden, Williams kind of take that next step. But, I mean, as good as the defenses look, now I know we're offensive focused right now, but as good as the defenses look, it's like you don't need too much from those guys offensively. But it's just going to get to a point where, the offense won't look the best, and they're going to need, some other guys to take a step.
Yeah, and you make a good point about Watson. He's, a big piece of that room, but coming off the ACL injury, he did just get the extension. Feels like probably won't be ready until mid-October. It was the last game of last season. So from a recovery standpoint, it's probably still another month, maybe 2 months until you see him. I'll say this, though. How many – I don't really want to say years, because, I mean, Dobbs has been in the league this is his 4th season, so it's not like he's been around forever. But it feels like every single year Romeo Dobbs has popped into trade conversations every single offseason, just because of how many pieces they have. Healthy Christian Watson, healthy Jaden Reed, healthy you add Matthew Golden, I should say, not healthy, but you draft him in the first round. All of those pieces together, you feel like Dobbs kind of moves to like 4th in that room. And just now you're without Watson, who you knew, but Jaden Reed now out. All of a sudden, Romeo Dobbs becomes such a bigger piece for this team. So I just bring that up as well, as kind of sometimes why you don't, when you have good depth, you don't just want to throw it away, give it away, and help out other teams. all offseason, Romeo Dobbs was, oh, the Packers might trade him, land all these different spots. I mean, just from a Jets perspective, he popped up a couple times as somebody that could come in and be the immediate wide receiver too. But this is why you don't always just trade away good depth. And from the Packers side of things, it's smart because now he's going to play a big role and he's a good piece for this team. He's going to be a bigger piece now without Jaden Reed and already without Christian Watson. And yeah, it's a tough blow to a team that's still figuring it out a bit on offense. Jordan Love still, I guess, needing to hit that next level, but I thought he was better last night than week one. Definitely. I mean, week one, he was only I think he was under 200 yards. He did have the 2 touchdowns. Last night, though, threw the ball a lot more last night. I think he only threw about 22 times in week one. Last night was up to 31. But you saw some bigger plays and some better play there. So, and then from the Washington side of things, the Eckler injury, now it's essentially Krosky Moret who will get the opportunity. He felt like was kind of trending in the number one for once the Robinson trade went down. He had a good week one, 8.2 yards per carry, 82 yards and a touchdown against the Giants. Last night, they couldn't get anything going. I mean, they were playing from behind, so they didn't run the ball a ton, only 19 carries as a team. But what does that mean for Washington in your opinion?
That's a huge blow. And obviously, and I know Eckler isn't really that type of back that's going to give you 80, 90 a game, but his presence in the pass game is huge, and they kind of lose that. And just a veteran presence as well. But for Washington, obviously now you got a guy like Debo Luckey that you did bring over that you can use in many different ways. You ran a lot out of the backfield in San Fran, so that does add a bonus. But losing Eckler, that's going to be huge. Like, again, this is not a guy who's going to give you 16, 17 carries, but the way he impacts the game in other ways, and the screen game, like, that is huge. And we kind of seen it last night. Well, we kind of seen it last night, but then again, I don't want to quite panic yet. We're only in week 2, but it kind of last night screamed to me, if the offense cannot get going running the ball, they are going to struggle. Jaden Daniels is going to struggle. And again, I don't know if that's more about just Green Bay's defense and how good they look, but they didn't run the ball that well against Washington. I mean, against the Giants, and they did not look that good offensively. So it kind of makes you, like scratch your head a little bit, like, hey, how good is Jaden Daniels? How good is his offense? How good are these playmakers? And without Eckler, like, we're going to see a completely different team. And I was a guy personally that thought this team maybe wins 10, 11 games. I think that number goes down a little bit with the loss of Eckler.
Yeah, Washington's been concerning. Yeah, they're 1-1 and they're not 0-2 and the sky's not falling. It's like you said, it's only week 2, but they didn't look that good against the Giants. The Giants are just such a train wreck. I mean, they're a disaster again. They look clueless on offense. Russell Wilson, you could throw one of us out there. They stink. From Washington's side of things, though, yeah, I mean, last week wasn't great. Rushing wise, they did some good things, but yeah, that was with Eckler in the mix and Moret, who had a really good game, and Daniels, who was able to run more. Last night was terrible. I mean, Daniels himself didn't do much on the ground. And through the air, I mean, he completed under 60% of his passes last night, just eclipsed 200 yards. It was an ugly night. And yeah, you have we kind of talked about this going in, seeing them as like a 10-win team. You kind of question now, though, without Eckler, even with Eckler, just the concerns in the first 2 games. Yes, the Packers defense is very good, but even against the Giants, and it wasn't like the Giants defense was dominant in that game either. I mean, they did struggle against the run in that game. Washington's I think we both kind of predicted a little bit of a second-year drop-off from this offense.
Yeah.
And, kind of see, I still think they're going to make the playoffs, but last night in the first week, it's not necessarily very encouraging, I would say. All right, so let's move on now. We'll talk one more injury here. Brock Purdy will miss 2 to 5 weeks here. He will miss this week's game against the Saints. That's official. Mac Jones steps in. What are your thoughts on this one? Mac Jones, Spencer Rattler, prime time. Put it on prime time now.
The Niners are cooked. They are cooked. This is not Mac Jones hate. They're just cooked. From the Purdy angle, obviously, it's going to have a huge impact on the team, a huge impact on the offense. An offense that I think they look decent against Seattle, but I mean, an offense outside of McCaffrey and Pearsall combining for 250 to 384. There's nobody on that offense, and now you lose George Kittle, you lose Brock Purdy. I think Mac Jones is kind of in no man land. Like, it's kind of just Pearsall out there and Christian McCaffrey, and you kind of feel bad for him. But it's not looking good for San Fran. Luckily, you get the Saints this week, but
yes,
we were kind of both expecting a bounce back year from San Fran, and we did see that defensively. Then again, you played Sam Darnold, and the Seahawks, who we both thought Darnold was not going to be close to what he was last year, but still, at the end of the day, you have to show up and go out and do your thing. So they did host Seattle to, I believe, 100 or 200 yards of offense, not too much, but offensively, you lose Purdy. I mean, this team, you want to see how bad this team really is without Purdy this Sunday.
Yeah, they weren't very good last week at all. Offensively, defensively, they did some good things. I mean, they had that big turnover late. Robert Saleh celebrating on the sideline. That's more emotion than he showed in his 4 years with the Jets. But yeah, I mean, it's Darnold. I actually just want to spend a second on Darnold because we're here. That looked like old Sam Darnold. It looked like playoff game Sam Darnold last year. But if you're a Seattle fan, this isn't a week one overreaction. That looked like KOC is not my offensive coordinator anymore. I look lost. Seriously, he looked, that was old. That is a typical 16 to 23, 150 yards, no touchdown, no picks. That's a Sam Darnold stat line, 13 points of offense. They didn't run the ball well. They haven't been able to really run the ball well. I mean, Kenneth Walker didn't have a good year last year. He had a bad week one game. He has quietly here really, really struggled after 2 really good years to start his career. And I know, he missed some time last year, but even when he was out there, he only had 3.7 yards per carry after averaging over 4 his first 2 years. They looked poor. So, yeah, and from San Francisco's – oh, you could go ahead.
Oh, just want to say, I'm right with you on the fact of them just not looking too good. And another part of that is I don't know if Sam Darnold remembered. I remember. But I'm pretty sure you signed Cooper Kupp this offseason. So, obviously, you're not going to get 2021 Triple Crown Cooper Kupp, but I think he had 2 catches on 3 or 4 targets. And come on now. Come on now. I don't remember the exact number. I don't know if you have it pulled up there. But it said Darnold threw for 150. If I'm correct, I think JSN had
124, yep.
Yes, 124 of that. That is ridiculous. And I didn't watch the game. I didn't watch it on TV live. I was watching the game cast on it. But yeah, Sam Darnold, you have other people out there not named JSN, so you need to figure out how to spread the ball around, similar to like you did in Minnesota last year. But I don't know if that was more about just Sam Darnold stinking it up and just Seattle offensively just really not being good for quite some time, or just how good San Fran's defense is. It could be a mix of both, but I think we both said Seattle would not be that good this year offensively, and they proved us right in week 1.
Yeah. And you had the strip sack by Bosa of Darnold late to end the game. But yeah, JSM, 124 yards. Cooper Kupp, 15. 2 catches for 15 yards. Elijah Arroyo, 7 yards on 1 catch. Kenneth Walker, 4 yards. That is just ugly. It's a bad day for an offense when you look at a box score and you only see about 4 to 5 names on the receiving side of things. I mean, not spreading the ball around at all. Cooper Kupp was JSN and nobody else, literally. I mean, the rest of the team had 26 yards receiving. So It's rough. It's rough. And then, from the 49ers perspective, I mean, this is about as bad as a week 2 game as you're going to get. Spencer Rattler and the Saints against Mac Jones and the 49ers. I mean, Mac Jones stinks. I've already seen it online that, Mac Jones, Kyle Shanahan, he's going to make it work. Mac Jones is a different kind of bad. He's no way. There's no way that they might win. They probably will win just because the Saints are so bad. But, I mean, like moving forward, if Purdy were to miss 3 to 4 weeks here, do we really think San Francisco's coming out on top of it with a winning record? Probably not. So, and like you said, they're already missing Kittle. Ricky Pearsall, he'll play a big role in this one. Jennings is questionable with the shoulder, but should be out there. Injuries are already plaguing them once again. Here we are with San Fran. Mac Jones, I can't even believe he's still in the league.
Knowing it, I mean, honestly, too, this is going to be quite an interesting week because, truthfully, New Orleans didn't look that bad defensively.
Yeah.
They didn't look that bad last week, and honestly, I watched that game closely. I have James Conner and Marvin Harrison in 2 different leagues. Harrison had a pretty decent game. James Conner honestly did not look that good up until the one score. But every time I'm watching the game cast on that, it's a Kyler Murray sack, Kyler Murray incompletion, Kyler Murray, just not being able to do anything. So, defensively, the Saints look pretty good. So, I don't think San Fran is going to be able to just walk all over the Saints defense. Like, he's going to have to earn something. Again, I'm right with you. Like, I do think they are going to ultimately win this game. They have the better talent, better coaching, all those other things. But this game will tell us a lot that we already don't know about Mac Jones. So, it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be watching that one closely.
Yeah. They should put this one in Sunday night. That's my opinion.
How about the Monday night 10 o'clock? Let's flex into that.
We want to put it on 1 a.m. on Comedy Central. All right. So that's Niners, Saints, Brock Purdy, some injury updates around the league. Now, getting into some of these other games, and obviously eventually here we'll get into our underdog picks, both of us looking to bounce back. Talk about a quarterback who career looked done. Neither of us believed in him going into last week. And he goes out there and has a massive game. And similar to what we just did with the Seahawks and Niners, I do think we also have to look at the other team that he played here for a second as well. And what is seems like a sinking ship. I don't even think you could say it's sinking. I think it's already sunk, and it's just a matter of time of it basically blowing up. And that is the Miami Dolphins. Daniel Jones goes out there last week, 33-8 win, 22 of 29, 272 yards, a touchdown, 87 QBR, 115.9 passer rating. That's Daniel Jones. That is not – I'm reading Daniel Jones' stats. I know that's hard to believe, but what a performance by him. He goes out there, first game with the Colts, wins the quarterback battle over Anthony Richardson. And I know it wasn't – you watch it and it wasn't like crazy flashy, like he was throwing bombs. There was a lot of short, quick, easy throws, efficient, right? 75, pretty much 76% of his passes completed. But he had the 2 rushing touchdowns. He had a passing touchdown. He had 272 yards of passing. No matter which way you cut it, really good performance by Daniel Jones. We'll get to Miami here, but what did you like from Daniel Jones? And is this sustainable? And as we kind of transition into, it's a massive test this week against Denver, one of the elite, arguably the best defense in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. Through 1 week, Daniel Jones probably third in the MVP race behind Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
Justin Fields has got to be in the top 10, right?
He's up there. Justin Fields is at 4. Justin Fields is definitely at 4. Rogers at 5. I know Pittsburgh won that game. I'm sorry you had to deal with that live in person, but yeah, just how we drew it up with those two being top 5.
100%.
But For Daniel Jones, we spent a lot of time bashing him. We spent a lot of time bashing him. But then again, you got to give him his flowers, and I'm going to give him his props. At the end of the day, yes, they play a Miami Dolphins defense that my dad's Little League team can probably score 40 on. But the NFL is the NFL. You still got to go out there and do your job. So he did what he needed to do, and he came out with a victory. And like you said, it wasn't his on the ground. He looked a little better through the air. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't the bombs that nobody expected to see. But it wasn't anything amazing, spectacular. But he was efficient. He completed a decent amount of a good percentage of his passes. He didn't turn the ball over. There was not a lot of turnover worthy plays, and that goes a long way because a big thing with him was decision making and turnovers, and just inaccuracy was a huge thing of why the Giants kind of moved on from him. So yeah, I want to give him his props. They look good. He looked good in week 1. He would not look good in week 2. He would not look that good this week against a very, very good Broncos defense that just held Tennessee to 133 yards of offense. So if he shocks me this week, I will never talk bad about Daniel Jones ever again. But I just don't see it happening against this Denver Broncos defense that is dominant as they are.
Yeah, it's funny because Daniel Jones right now, and after week, every year, I feel like every year now moving forward, we're always going to have the Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold comparison. More so Baker Mayfield because Sam Darnold, I know it's only week 1, but he's going to flame out. I just don't believe in him in Seattle. And we said that before the season even started. That's not week 1 overreaction. We both, I think, looking at Darnold after the playoff game, you could tell it was his magic was wearing off. But we already got to talk about Darnold. Moving on to Daniel Jones, just every year you're going to have that journeyman quarter, not really journeyman from Darnold or Daniel Jones because it's only his second team, but you're going to have that former first-round pick quarterback that doesn't pan out, that has a really big game, whatever. Daniel Jones is kind of this year's him and a couple others as well, kind of this year's version of that early here. And if he can continue it, can he be that next like Baker Mayfield? I'm with you. I think he looked good, and you have to give him credit. But against Denver, and I know it's at home and on the road would be much tougher, would be almost impossible. But to me, I don't want to take anything away from him. I think more of last week was he played the Dolphins, and against a defense like Denver, it's going to be a totally different story, in my opinion. But he did do a lot of things last week, like you said, that he didn't really do previously. I mean, first of all, the numbers wise, like he was a lot better. I mean, he's really never been a high completion guy, like you said, especially stretching the field. He's had a lot of bad. I mean, towards the end there with the Giants, some of the interceptions that he would throw were just mind-numbing interceptions. I mean, things that for an NFL quarterback you should obviously see, and he just wasn't seeing. Week 1 looked comfortable. 76% of his passes. Career, he's at 64%, so he's never really been that high. But I just think it's more of a product personally of Miami. And I have no hatred towards Daniel Jones. And I know people joke about him all the time. You give him credit, but I don't see it against Denver. I don't. And I to be honest with you, I'm walking away from this game more, I don't want to say worried because I hate the Dolphins. I think it's great that they're losing. I think you should walk away from this game as a Miami fan more concerned than a Colts fan should walk away encouraged by Daniel Jones, if that makes sense. From the Miami perspective, this team is a sinking ship, or they've already sunk. I don't even know which way you want to put it. There's no way Mike McDaniel, right? There's no way he makes it through the season. No chance.
I will not be surprised if we are at the trade deadline and Tyreek Hill is no longer a Dolphin. Mike McDaniel is obviously not there. It's bad. It is very bad. And I think we I feel like I don't know ball now. I think I had your Jets finishing last in the division at 6-11.
They're both
I,
0-1.
they both are 0-1, but one team you seen promise, you seen fight. One team you're just like, a few things goes differently. The Jets win that game.
Yeah.
Little off topic here, rewatching on NFL Network, did not know they were outscored like 17-6 or something like that from like the 1 minute mark in the third to the end of the game, which is kind of crazy if I had that number right.
To
But
Jets?
yeah,
Yeah. Well, the
yeah,
stupid Xavier Gibson. So I'm gonna rant for a second. Xavier Gibson should have never been on the team in the first place. I said that all summer. Should have been Jamal Pritchard returning kicks. It wasn't. The Jets had that 9-point lead, 26-17. Gibson fumbles the kickoff. He had the great return 2 years ago, opening night with the Rodgers Achilles game, all that stuff. And I'll always appreciate him for that. That's the loudest sports environment I've ever been in, the craziest game I've ever been to. But he wasn't good the rest of that year, and he wasn't good last year, and he wasn't good in training camp, and he's still on the team. Now they end up releasing him, and he signed with the Giants, so he doesn't have to go very far. But yeah, they had that was a 14-point swing because it was a 14-point swing actually in 10 seconds because Steelers scored, Gibson fumbled, Brandon Stevens sucks. I could play better quarterback than Brandon Stevens. He slips and the Steelers score. So yeah, they were outscored, and then it was sorry. Back to what you were saying.
I know. Look, I get it. I get it. It's rough when you go into the fourth quarter up 9 and everything is going good. Justin Fields looked great. I know the energy in the stadium was high. And you're like, Justin Fields, everything where they said Justin Fields wasn't in Pittsburgh is what he was for the Jets in that first game. And you lose the game off of that. So yeah, no, I definitely get it. But I apologize for thinking the Jets were going to be worse than the Dolphins. That team's bad. They are bad. And not only are they just bad, now you lose. I don't know how long Waddle was out. I haven't looked at the injury update, but Waddle gets hurt in that game. And your whole offense is Devon A-Chain. You move on from Jonnu Smith to bring back Minkah Fitzpatrick. And don't get me wrong, I love Minkah Fitzpatrick. But he can't save your defense. And clearly now you have no offense whatsoever. I don't know what Miami is doing, and it's kind of mind-boggling because if you told me 2-3 years ago that Miami would be in this spot, I would have thought you were insane. I would have thought this would be a team that is probably, giving Buffalo a hard time in the division, considering that the trajectory that they were on, they just couldn't finish when they got around November, December. Ironically, always when it started to get a little cold, they forget how to play football. But now this Miami team, they look like, at least for week 1, for a team that we both had the Dolphins to win outright, looks like they don't deserve to be on a football field from what we've seen. It's embarrassing. It is bad in Miami, but I don't feel bad. I hate the Dolphins. I hate their fan base. So here it is.
I'm right there with you. I'm drinking Dolphins fans' tears. You know what's funny is when you look at Miami and just the way this roster has just collapsed and how it's gotten weaker. And yeah, I mean, the Jonnu Smith trade was just awful. I know you're getting back, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and that safety room is that secondary. More so the cornerbacks, actually, not really safety room, is terrible. But I think you would redo that. And I know you had to get rid of Ramsey anyway, but you could have did it without making that blockbuster.
Yeah.
The whole Jonnu thing. I mean, they don't have a capable tight end. Darren Waller's not a capable tight end. Okay, the guy was making music 3 months ago. Now he's on the football field. I think Waddle will play against the Patriots, but I mean, they had a player only meeting after week 1. I mean, that's unheard of. That is, what's crazy is I've seen Dolphins fans on Twitter try and defend that. Like, oh, player only meetings happen all the time. Yeah, not after week 1.
Not at all.
Like you just got diced up by Daniel Jones and you're running a player only meeting. That's terrible. And Tyreek Hill, yeah, I mean, he might get traded, and he's going to get unhappy because 4 catches or 40 yards is not going to cut it for him. He's going to be unhappy. he had got into, I don't know if you saw, he got into it today with a reporter about what he hasn't had a catch over 30 yards. I think it's something like that.
Yeah, in over
Tua
a
looked
year.
terrible. Yeah. I mean, Tua looks broken. He just looks broken. I mean, he had a 3.8 QBR. I mean, Zach Wilson played week 1 for the Dolphins in garbage time. And I want to just bring up this one point because it's just, and I totally agree with you. If you would have told me, 2 years ago that we'd be here with Miami, as much as hatred I have for them and every team in the division for that matter, unbiased, you have to look at them. I would have thought you were crazy. Now, I never viewed Miami as a team that was going to win the division over Buffalo because, well, number one, they can't beat Buffalo. And number two, I just still think Josh Allen had the edge, right? Always had the edge over Tua. But being a wild card team, they could still, you still expect them to be a playoff team once they play in not even cold weather. If it's just mild,
below 60.
They just
below
exactly.
60.
Yeah, they forget how to play football. But I look back, the Bradley Chubb trade, that was like one of the big, at the time, kind of needle moving type of trades that Miami made. And I know he missed all last year, but 2022, since that, 2022, they lost the wild card game to Buffalo. That was actually the game they almost went into Buffalo, beat the Bills with Skylar Thompson. They only lost by 3. 2023, they followed it up with the collapse where the Bills go on that late season win streak, and they end up winning in the final game of the regular season in Miami. Last year, they missed the playoffs, and now we're here with this season where it's a total disaster. So I guess my point is like just kind of timeline things. The whole Bradley Chubb trade in a way was supposed to put them over the top. You get your star pass rusher. You have Tyreek Hill, who comes along that same season in 2022, that off season. And here we are. They've crumbled. If their window's closed is the way I view it. It just, they got to completely tear it down. I mean, you can't tell me if they win 4 games this year, 2 is returning, if they have a top 5 pick. Tyreek Hill's not back. And who knows what Waddle's future is. I mean, you just got to tear this whole thing down.
And just along with that, I'm right with you. I think they kind of just build it down and move in a new direction everywhere. But it really just shows you that life comes at you fast and how things can change in the course of time. Mike McDaniel was just hired. Everyone was kind of on board. You've seen what he did at San Fran. Everyone loved the hire. Some people weren't too fond of the hire. And then he comes to Miami. The first few years, they look great. The offense looks great. They're a fun team to watch. Everyone's talking about the Dolphins. And yes, we all know they're not going to beat Buffalo. They're never going to beat Buffalo to win the division. But what I was saying, and thank you for clearing it up, because I'm right with you, they're never going to win the division. But like you just said, they took Buffalo to week 18 and lost at home with a chance to win a division. So they were in the mix. They were in the race to just be competitive when it comes to Buffalo. And now this is a team we don't even think might win 6 games, and Mike McDaniel's about to be out. But 2-3 years ago, this is Coach of the Year. It's just kind of crazy to see the direction of this team and how bad things went for the Dolphins. But yeah, I'm right with you. I mean, top 7 pick. We're talking about 5-12, 6-11. Tua's gone. Maybe you go with Ewers, you give him the keys. Maybe you draft a quarterback, which no one has looked great in college so far. I know it's still early as well there. But they are in no man's land, and it's bad. It's bad in Miami.
I have one recommendation. Zach Wilson
can't be the answer. That's the white flag. If Zach Wilson's starting games, that's the white flag.
I would love to see that. I would pay a lot of money for Zach Wilson to start for the Dolphins.
Start him against the Jets.
America needs that.
At MetLife. How about that?
Yeah. Give me Zach Wilson, Jets, MetLife, put the game to prime time. Everybody needs to see that. Everybody. That's just, yeah. No, I mean, Zach's going to play at some point. He's going to start at some point because, and you don't want to wish this on anybody, I'm not, but Tua's probably going to get banged up at some point. It always happens. I don't even know. I mean, they're just, and they got to go into Buffalo on Thursday night in a couple days. That's brutal. They're a disaster. All right, so kind of moving on now. A couple games here. We'll dive into part of the whole Colts Daniel Jones conversation. Is this week's matchup against the Broncos? I'm not buying it, and I know you said it as well. Don't see it happening this weekend. How much of a regression, I guess, from Daniel Jones? Do you feel, is it just Broncos defense kind of smothers him? What's the deal there?
I don't want to sound like a complete hater where I think he's like, guy's not going to be like 6 for 23 and 4 interceptions. But if I had to predict a Daniel Jones stat line, maybe like a 14 for 27, 188 yards, probably a touchdown, which from week one obviously is kind of worst performance. I don't think he's going to have a complete stinker like Cam Ward did, but he's not going to look as good as he did in week one.
On the topic of Cam Ward for a second, talk about coaches not surviving the season with Mike McDaniel. Brian Callahan and the whole elbow in or the knee in needed, right? Was the elbow, he needed the 2 feet? Was it still, or was it? Yeah, I mean, he didn't know the rules.
Oh, my goodness.
That's terrible. There's no way. I don't know if they would do it mid-season just with a rookie quarterback, but there's no chance Brian Callahan is the future in Tennessee. No chance. No. And it's a bad spot because here we are again. Cam Ward, he looked overwhelmed, and not going to crush him too much. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about Cam Ward here over the course of the season, and it's a lot to ask for a rookie quarterback with those weapons and kind of the situation he's in Tennessee. Why both of us never really bought into that team being much of a threat. Is the talent is just not there. But asking a rookie to go into, no matter first round pick or not, to go into Denver week one and play well is really tough. But Brian Callahan is terrible. I mean, you don't know the rules. How's that okay? I don't know. But I agree. I think the Broncos win this one. Daniel Jones takes a step back. I am intrigued to see Denver's offense. They got to bounce back a little bit. Bo Nix did not look good. The offense did not look good. They found a way to win, but they have to be a lot better than that if they want to win the division, do the things that we've both talked about. A lot of people have talked about. I mean, you look at their schedule coming up after Indy. They got the Chargers on the road, Cincy, then the Eagles. Your offense cannot put up 20 points against those teams.
And 4 turnovers. You will lose each and every one. Maybe you beat Cincy considering how their defense still looks, and the offense didn't even look great. But 4 turnovers, against those type of tier teams, no, it's not going to cut it. Yeah,
definitely. So to me, this feels a little bit like Denver is your final, not get right game, but final tune-up before that tough stretch. Play a divisional opponent in the Chargers, who, looked really good against the Chiefs. So see how that all plays out. The next one here, Monday night, Bucks and the Texans. 2 teams coming off of very different week ones. A Texans team coming off of just a really ugly offensive performance. Another day where CJ Stroud was running for his life often, under pressure, 3 sacks, pressured a ton more. And then from the Bucs perspective, Koo misses the kick and they win the game. We'll start with the Texans. How concerned are you after week one? To me, my biggest concern is it's the same issues that have popped up with this team over the last couple of years, and that's the poor offensive line play. But they were playing a very good Rams team, a very good Rams defense. Where do you stand with Houston one weekend?
They better be lucky they play. I mean, you can't even say that right now with how good the Colts look. I don't say you better be lucky they play the Colts and the Titans twice a year. But I'm very concerned. 1 to 10, I'm probably at a 7 because, like you said, it's the same old thing. Not being able to protect your quarterback. They had 11 penalties in that game, which it's not going. You cannot win football games like that. Nico Collins was not involved. None of the receivers really seemed to be involved. And then there's no run game. Chubb had 13 for 60. Not great, not bad, can be better. Stroud was second with 32 yards, which looks so much worse because he's not even a mobile quarterback. He is more of your pocket passing type of guy. So it's like your quarterback, you can't take any pressure off him by running the ball. So you have to throw the ball, but when he drops out to throw the ball, you can't protect him. When you try to protect him, you're holding, you're getting penalties. And like you said, this was a very good Rams defense that they faced. But I mean, for a team that we thought would obviously win the division, and we still think so, the rest of the division, how it looks, we still think it's Houston's to lose. But I mean, you're looking like this week in and week out, you're not going to win the division. You're not going to be a playoff team. And it looks bad. It looks very bad. I'm going to argue this might be a hot take, but they probably look like the second worst team offensively in week one.
Yeah, no, they were up there. Probably the worst is the Giants, I'm assuming.
I was going to go Miami and then probably
Miami, that's true.
I'll say third. We'll say third.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you look at, there was what, three teams to score under 10 points. And I believe there was only three, right? I believe. And
Miami was one. Houston was
Giants
one.
and Miami. Yep. And Houston, yeah. I believe that was it. Because I mean, Seattle had what, 13, Detroit at 13, New England at 13, New Orleans 13. Yeah. As bad as it looked at times for Cincy, they were, able to squeak out that 17-16 victory. So yeah, they were horrible. And to me, it's not a week one thing. This offense line's been the big issue for a while now. Sacked 3 times for 37 yards. He was pressured 41% of his dropbacks, which is just unacceptable. And yeah, you mentioned the run game. I mean, like, CJ Stroud can't be your second leading rusher, and he can't be that close to like Chubb. I know Chubb he was solid, but you'd like to see a little bit more. You'd like to see a little bit more out of the other guys. Receiving wise, kind of spread the ball around. Nobody really stuck out much. Like, the most receptions was Cade Stover, who had 4. So they spread the ball out a lot, but yeah, it was ugly. I mean, 9 points is ugly. And it just feels like this Texans offense right now has kind of hit a ceiling. Like, year one, they were great, awesome. And last year they were not very good. They got in, right, 10-7, made the playoffs, won a playoff round. They've won, back-to-back playoff games. This year, though, they kind of look like they're trending in that direction of last year, where they're just going to kind of be fighting all year for points and success. And I just don't know how they didn't. The offensive line continues to struggle. And I know they've tried to address it, but it's still such a big issue. And then you get Nico Collins involved. He was a non-factor in this game.
Yeah,
that can't happen. So there's certainly some pressure here with Houston. This is, I guess, is it the first time it feels like I mean, last year was only year 2, but it feels like now. We kind of talk about this with Detroit, where there's some doubters. Feels like now with Houston, this is the first time, I guess maybe last year a little bit, not many people believed in them as much. But it feels like there's legitimate doubters this early in the season. Not this early, at least in the season. Last year, everybody thought, I mean, heck, I think I had them 14-3. I was crazy high in the Texans last year. But it feels like now for the first time with DeMeco Ryans, there's like legitimate adversity here, legitimate questions, and it'll be interesting to see how they respond. That's what it feels like, at least.
And I kind of want to go on a brief rant here on just the NFL in general. Recency bias has to come to an end. At some point, it has to stop. And I know Washington, 2 very good defenses to start the year out, but you got to show up. You got to have
Mhm.
some form of offense. You have to look good. So it just feels like it's the same repeat with, Houston last year and Washington this year, where now we're ready to label Stroud and Daniels as a top 5 quarterback, and this team is going to the Super Bowl, and this team is that. Recency bias has to stop. And one of my favorite things to say, which I get it from my dad, he says it all the time. Going into that second year, you kind of know more to what to expect. So I think teams have figured out Houston and CJ Stroud. I still think they're going to be good offensively.
Mhm.
Teams may have figured out Jaden Daniels in Washington. You can't sneak up on anybody, and not taking anything away from what they both did as rookies, because to step in as a rookie and look as good as you did in your first year says a lot about you. You're a good player. I mean, heck, we got players like Sam Darnold who's been in the league for like 7 years and still can't figure it out. So you got to get props where the props are due. But at the same time, you can't, like my dad said, you can't sneak up on someone when you know it's expecting year 2 and a 16, 17 game sample size. It's a lot, but it's still not a lot going into the next year where you can see a lot more in tendencies, things that make a quarterback nervous, those type of things. And I think those guys are figured out. And again, Washington, we still think will be good. Houston, we think will look better as the year goes on. But it just gets to the point we have to stop labeling these teams as Super Bowl contenders and top 5 quarterbacks because they look good in 1 year if they can't follow it up, or we don't know if they will follow it up in year 2. And I know I'm just ranting now all on it, but I bring it up because year 1, Houston looked great. Year 2, I remember arguing with friends. CJ Stroud was not going to look that good. People thought I was crazy. He's a top 5 quarterback. Houston's going to the Super Bowl, which I also thought, but I thought because of all the weapons that they would kind of, make it that far. But you kind of sit back and you watch Houston and you consider that division, and you're just like, if this team was in the AFC North, they're a third place team.
Oh,
If
yeah.
this team was in the AFC West, they're a third place team. Heck, even in the East, they are a second to third place team. It's time to start really just evaluating teams and players for what they kind of are in the moment, and not, what they can potentially be. I'm kind of tired of it. Sorry for the rant, but that's that for
Oh,
Houston.
no, yeah, no, I totally agree. And we kind of mentioned that too with how this isn't just a one game good Rams defense type of thing. It's more than that, because we've seen this now all last year with this Texans team. I mean, this was a team that was, 10-7 at a couple, really. I mean, they had freaking 2 points against the Ravens last year, which I still say 31-2 to me just seems so much worse than 31-0. It's weird, but I know it's 2 points is better than getting shut out, but aesthetically, I guess looking at it, it looks worse. But maybe that's just me. Either way, no, I mean you're spot on about that. I think with the Texans, maybe that's given them a little bit of a leash here is the fact that they've had the 2 playoff wins in back-to-back years. And while that hasn't translated into anything, they end up going on the road and losing to Baltimore and Kansas City last season. Winning back-to-back years playoff games, it's tough to do. And Stroud played well in those games. So I think people kind of view it that way of Stroud didn't even actually play that well against the Chargers, but against the Browns he did. I guess people view like if they just get in, they can win. But I agree. I mean, it's they're not what they should be compared to what the expectations are. And I mean, you're spot on with where they would rank in other divisions. They're very lucky they play in the AFC South. You put them in any of the other divisions, AFC North, AFC West, AFC East, they're not winning the division. And specifically the North and the East, you're looking at maybe a third place team. Heck, depending on who they replace, I mean, let's say you inserted Houston for Cleveland. Is there any guarantee Houston would finish not in last in the North? And the same goes for the West. Whoever they replace in the West, there's no guarantee that they're finishing in front of last with the way this offense is playing and just the results. So, and that's the funny part with Houston is they've had back-to-back 10-7 seasons. It's not like it's a team that won 13 games ever. Like people act like they won 13 games 2 years ago and they won 13 games last year, and like they're CJ Stroud's 26-8 as a starter, and they're they've yes, they've won their division, but 10-7 in other divisions is not going to get you in, not going to get you a home playoff game each of these last 2 years. So, from Tampa's perspective, who they face off in this one, we've talked about Emeka Ibuka a lot, and he was so underrated going into the draft. And this was something where this was like so many people were sleeping on him. So many people weren't talking about him. I think it's a lot of the draft fatigue because we've been kind of coming out of college. You talked about him coming out of college for like 3 years in a row. Then he came back. He had the injury, had to come back, all that stuff. He was big last week. Had the 4 catches, the 67 yards, the 2 touchdowns. That's huge for this team in the absence of Chris Godwin. And that last week for Tampa, with what Ibuka showed, not only is it big right now without Chris Godwin still coming back from the ACL, but it's big moving forward. When Chris Godwin does come back, that is scary to think that Ibuka, Mike Evans, and Godwin are going to share the field together with Baker Mayfield, who 3 touchdowns, didn't throw for a ton of yards, but found the end zone. He continues to be in the mix there he's Baker Mayfield. That's what he is right now in terms of just doing his thing. What is your thoughts on Tampa headed into this one?
They make me nervous. Offensively, I'm not liking where Tampa is at right now, and this is not a moment to kind of overreact, but the slow start, and it kind of made you question, is this more a product of Liam Cohen no longer being there, or was Atlanta's defense just that good, and will their defense be that good this year? So still too early to tell, but I'm right on board with you. Ibuka looked great, if you ask me. Evans kind of didn't play too well, but just be able to step up as a rookie in that moment gains you so much quarterback trust, which is going to go a long way. And like you said, when Godwin gets back, we already thought Baker could arguably have won the MVP last year. I won't be surprised if Baker Mayfield does finish top 3 with just the amount of weapons they got. And you throw Bucky Irvin into the mix, who also looked good, and you know what he brings to the team as a rusher and as a passer. Rashad White as well, even though Rashad White didn't do too much against Atlanta. But offensively, I like what Tampa, did in the later portion of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't look great, but the kind of the ability to not get phased and still manage to win that game says a lot about you, especially when you got outgained offensively.
Yeah.
Defensively, they looked awful. They looked awful. The run defense looked great. I mean, they only gave up 69 yards of rushing to Atlanta, which is great, but the secondary, 358 to Penix. Not a shot at Penix. I think Penix is going to be very solid, but for an Atlanta team that the weapons, and you might agree with this, the weapons don't jump out at you. Drake London doesn't really scare you going into Sundays. Kyle Pitts doesn't scare you. Darnell Mooney, none of those guys kind of scare you. So to give up 358 to those group of weapons, which Atlanta's weapons are good, they're not great. I think that says a lot. So I think they need to kind of tidy up that secondary, especially going into Houston. And like you mentioned, Nico will get more involved this week coming up. Jaden Higgins probably gets more involved. We are going to see Houston, I believe, play a lot better on Monday than they just did this following Sunday. And if that defense looks, secondary-wise, looks anything like they did against Atlanta, they're going to get torched.
Yeah, the secondary was certainly rough, and just something from Bucks offense-wise, they got to get the run game going more. That was, to me, the bigger issue as well. They eventually figured it out passing-wise, and unlike Detroit, who was a slog all game, Tampa at least figured it out first time without the OC. Bucky Irving, only the 14 carries for 37 yards. Baker Mayfield can't be your leading rusher if you want to have success moving forward. So I think the rushing offense, to me, is the bigger area from that game. Also still without Tristan Wirfs. But, yeah, I mean, Bijan did nothing on the ground, but he saved fantasy managers from a receiving side of things because he had the 6 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. I mean, if you would have told any fantasy manager that Bijan's going to go out there and have 12 carries for 24 yards, his longest run of the day is going to be 6 yards, I think he'd panic. But he had a big day through the air. Kyle Pitts got involved. But, yeah, I mean, Drake London's not elite. Darnell Mooney's kind of a number 2, Probably on a playoff team, he's probably more of a number 3, to be honest. Ray McLeod is probably like a number 4 on like a good team, So those are kind of your 2 and 3 guys. But yeah, I mean, maybe Penix is just this good. Like maybe he arrived a little bit in week 1. I mean, he did, he showed you some signs at the end of last year. He looked really good in this game. We'll kind of see if that's more of a product of Penix or the Bucs secondary. But he distributed the ball well. He got. I don't think Mooney had a catch in this game or a reception or a target. I don't believe. Remember if I'm correct.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of it. A chunk of it, I believe, was Bijan and Kyle Pitts. They had pretty decent games. I think Drake London ended up getting hurt in that game, but he didn't look too great. Either had a few drops, but Penix looked good.
Yes, I believe Moody. Well, he wasn't even out there, was he?
Honestly, I couldn't even tell you. I don't know. If I'm being so honest, I was too busy worried about Bijan and my fantasy points to pay attention to Darnell Mooney.
Mm-hmm. And the cardio, did you see speak of that, you see the cardio award of the week?
Who did that go to?
Darius Slayton. Sounds about right.
Oh, okay.
But, no, yeah, I mean, Atlanta looked good. They lost with the Young Hoku missed field goal, which is a tough one and kind of rare for him. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Bucs, Houston will be a good one as well. All right, let's get into underdog picks, shall we? Also, you got the Super Bowl rematch, Chiefs, Eagles. That's a big one as well. But let's get into these underdog picks. You want to start us off here? We both went 1 and 2 last week. I had Bills plus 1.5. They saved me. I was on the brink of going 0 and 3. Bills pulling out the victory from the jaws of defeat saved me. Lions plus 1.5, nowhere close, and Dolphins plus 1.5, nowhere close. It's funny. I was at the game, the Jets game, and I was sitting there and during the breaks and stuff, they've got the scoreboard up on the Jumbotron of all the other games, and I just keep seeing this Colts 14, then it's 20, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. There's no way Daniel Jones is just lighting him up, and that's what happened. For you, Raiders plus 2.5 hit. Panthers, Dolphins did not. So, start us off here.
Well, this week I am going to fade the Dolphins. I think the Patriots being a 2-point. Last time I checked, the 2-point underdog is distasteful unless Drake cannot get through TSA. I think the Patriots cover this. So give me Patriots plus 2 this week. Second pick, I know this guy won, NFC Player of the Week or whatever the case was, but J.J. McCarthy did not look good. The Vikings did not look good, and I don't think the Falcons are going to lose by 3. So give me Falcons plus 3. We just talked about how good Penix looked and just how good they look defensively. So we will see if they can back that up going into this week. I like Falcons plus 3 on Monday night. And third one is the team that we just talked about. I'm going to take Tampa plus 2.5. What scares me is that secondary. That secondary is awful. That secondary is bad. But I think offensively, they're going to look a lot better this week. So, Baker Mayfield, I trust you. Give me Bucks plus 2.5 on the road.
All right. So, just confirming, you've got plus, 3.5 for Atlanta?
Did it move to 3.5? It was 3 when I checked around.
It might. I just have the ESPN up here, but we could go 3.5. It doesn't matter. Either way, you got Atlanta, New England, and the Bucs.
Yes, I'm about to check Hard Rock Bet. I know that sounds crazy, but 3 and 3.5. That half makes a big difference.
Yes. J.J. McCarthy looking to get the 2-0, back-to-back primetime games. Michael Penix looking to build off of that. So that'll be a good one. All right, I'll go here. I'm going to go with you here. I'm going to go Patriots as well. Plus 1.5 over Miami. I'm going to say Miami loses this one. Yes, as long as Drake May gets through TSA, I think they should be good. As long as Mike Vrabel gets through TSA. Honestly, as long as Mike McDaniel gets through TSA, I think the Patriots are in pretty good shape, if we're being honest. So I'll go Patriots. They didn't look very good last week, but the Dolphins just got ran over by Daniel Jones. They're running player-only meetings in week 1. It's over. Before they played a home game, they've got a player-only meeting. That's a train wreck. Over under 5 weeks until McDaniel gets fired. Like, how early do you think they pull the plug? That, or like, if they're 0-5, you think they do it?
Oh yeah, they're on 5. He can get
Honestly, if they lose this week,
yeah, this week is hot
kind of
seat.
week by week.
This week is hot seat, definitely. They're 0-5. I can't remember. Is it Good Greek, the moving company from Miami? You always see it on commercials. Like McDaniel can call Good Greek and get the packet. 0-5, even 1-4. I think he's gone.
Yes. Yeah, it's terrible. So I'm right there with you. Patriots plus 1.5. They'll pick up the win. Should have went Raiders last week. I didn't. So hopefully the Patriots don't make me pay this time. Or I guess that makes sense. Yeah, because I didn't go Raiders. So anyway, who knows? But I'm going to go Patriots. I'm also going to go Bucks as well, plus 2.5. I'm right there with you. I think defensively, I just don't like what I saw from Houston. It's more so just my concerns with Houston. From Tampa's front perspective, I think they're going to be able to get home to CJ Stroud. There's no faith in this offensive line right now from Houston. That continues to be an issue. So I'll go Tampa with the win on the road. And this last one has been a little tough. I've looked through a couple different options here, a couple different teams, couple different matchups. Baltimore minus 11.5. Only because, and I don't know if I'm not going to actually pick it, but that's a massive spread. Anytime you see 11.5, can Joe Flacco just cover that? Like, if they lose by 10, can he just cover that spread? Chiefs home dogs, as much as they've played terrible or looked terrible against the Chargers, that's intriguing. I don't like the Colts at all plus 1, or then Colts plus 1.5. I think it's ridiculous that I wish the Colts were home favorites. I wish the market was high on Daniel Jones so I could just take Denver. I think that'd be a pretty easy pick. But you know what? Why not? We're going to do it. This is probably going to be a terrible mistake, but I'm going to go Browns plus 11.5. Not to win, but just to keep it 11 points or less. Is it that hard to ask? They gave Cincy a run for their money. I know Baltimore's coming off of a really emotional, tough loss, and it's always interesting to see how teams respond from that. But I'm gonna go Cleveland. I'm gonna go the Browns here. I kind of just made a late adjustment there. I originally had Chiefs plus 1.5, but I'm gonna go with the big spread. I guess this is, do you want to call it the conservative pick here? I don't know. Is this conservative? Is this like playing it safe? I don't know. I feel like this is going to blow up on me. Picking the Browns in anything this year, I did not expect.
I would say it's risky. You're getting a Baltimore team that's already not happy with how that game kind of ended. And was it Grant Delpit? One of the Browns players were interviewed and said it's not hard to tackle Derrick Henry at all.
Yes.
So Derrick Henry might have 120 yards at halftime for that comment, considering he, in a way, lost them that game. I know a little bit off topic here. Yeah, I know the defense gave up 15 points in 4 minutes, but you milk 2 minutes off that clock. That game's a done deal. That fumble was huge. You're going to get an angry Derrick Henry, an angry Lamar Jackson, and then Grant Delpit decided to run his mouth. Cleveland plus 11.5 is risky.
Yeah. Yes. Anytime you're betting on Flacco and the Browns, it's risky. Browns just in general. But yeah, after those comments, they played well defensively. I mean, Myles Garrett had a good week. Not that that's surprising. Just keep it within 10. And not to win, but just keep it close. So, all right. Any closing thoughts?
Just want to clarify here. So I saw Patriots +2. You have 1.5. Would you want to play it up to 2, or I can change down to 1.5? It's whatever you prefer.
Yeah, we could play it too.
Play the 2. All right. Yeah, I wrote it down for Pats +2 for both of us. Either way, I think they went outright. So,
yeah, I think so too.
But just
and then Bucks 2.5.
Bucks 2.5.
And Falcons, what is that? What do you have?
I've seen them at 3. I don't know what ESPN.
Yes. Okay, I have them at 3 too.
3. All right.
And then Browns, you have also at 11.5.
11.5.
Yeah. All right. They might not cover a 20-point spread. We'll see.
Oh.
This is why I'm under 500 in the underdog picks the last 2 years.
You look how they played. It's risky. When you think about it, either way, all picks are risky. I mean, I just picked Atlanta +3 for a Minnesota defense that looked pretty good. Obviously, thank you to Caleb Williams that doesn't play quarterback too well, it seems like. But all of it's risky.
Yes. Definitely. So another week here. Another episode in the books. Any closing thoughts?
Thank you for watching as usual. Enjoy your football Sunday, whether that's NFL, college. We'll be back next week with more. Thank you as normal, as usual.
Yes, definitely. Enjoy the weekend. College tomorrow, Sunday NFL, 2 Monday night games. Should be a lot of fun. Appreciate you all, and we'll talk to you next week.